Hi, I'm Boris from Board and Sated.
I'm Jonathan from Fordham Sated, and today we're going to talk about the Advanced Player's Guide. Yeah, we can't see yours if you're holding it up. We see a. Oh, yeah, your background is making it so we
Oh
really don't see
man,
anything.
my background is killing it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, don't worry about that. So we're going to talk about the new sections that are available in this book, the positives, the not so positives about some of this stuff, and we're going to go into more specifics in other videos. This is more just of an overview of the book.
Yes. Overall, I would like to begin. I think it's a really well done, overall, really good book. There's nothing that I could say I hate it. There's a few things that I would say were but nothing that I say I didn't like or was throwing the game unbalanced or
Yep. Yeah, that's
significantly,
fair.
yeah,
Um,
significantly causing issues.
I think overall, like, I really like the idea of how they did. We'll get into that when we get there. So we're going to
Yeah,
start by talking about the ancestries and backgrounds. One of the first things they wanted to do is they wanted to add more ancestries of popular character ancestry because we don't want to use that other word.
right.
And the more important thing, in my opinion, is actually the versatile heritages they decided to put in. I really liked that concept.
Yes, I agree. That really added, I think, to the overall ancestry and really gave you a few more choices to select.
Exactly. So what are we talking about? First, they added in five new ancestries, five new playable ancestries, full new ones. Those five are the cat folk, the kobold, the orc, the rat folk, and the tengu. Now,
Yes.
some of those might be like, really, the Tengu, like, why not elemental people, things like that. There's some really cool ones from, especially from Pathfinder One, that they didn't really include, but we'll get to those in a few minutes.
Yes. I have to say, all of them were at the very least decent. Not
Yeah,
a single one was horrible, terrible, or unbalancing.
exactly. The thing is that what I really need to say about them is that none of them are special, none of them are fantastic, but none of them are bad. They are all just more available choices, and I think that's really
Right.
the best thing they could have done. They made it so that these new ancestry choices are very good.
Right.
I love.
And I,
It makes it so we can play a full orc, which is something I love to do. It makes it
yep.
so you can. I love the way they put in some of the ideas for the tengus. Kobolds are
Right.
always fun to play. I've always wanted to play a certain kobold idea that I've never had the ability to do because my group has not been appropriate for it.
It's and I have something special to say about the Cobalt, especially if you were a fan of Neverwinter Night, especially one of their longer campaign that they released where you did get a Cobalt bard. And one of the abilities that the Kobold is offered is that meek, being the meek, oh, don't hit me. And that's exactly the way the Kobold acted in Neverwinter Night. So when I read that, it brought nostalgia, it brought lots of ideas, and it was really, really cool that they introduced that.
Yeah, definitely a big fan of all of those. Now, the versatile heritages. Let's talk about that a little bit more. The way that versatile heritages work is this is your ability to make your character a half something else. This is where some of the most popular concepts are to make yourself into, as an example, a um um everyone loves playing your tieflings or your
So, Assyrians, which are the
Azimos. Yeah,
Azamar,
Azimos.
yes.
That's what they put in. They made it so that what you can do is you can take whatever base ancestry you want, and then add on a planar scion or a changeling or a Damphir. You can make yourself a half vampire, basically.
Yes.
And that's what they did with this. They made it so that what it does is it gives you a couple of specific changes to your ancestry abilities, and it gives you more feats available to you.
Right. which
That's all it
which
does.
really makes it a little bit more versatile because even though you want to play some races, some races don't have great selection at certain levels for the ancestral feat, and this gives you an opportunity to pick something unique and better.
Yeah, and the thing is that in the most of these cases, it's really all about character option. It's not like ancestral feats mostly are not combat stuff. It's not things that you really need
Right.
to do that with. It's more for role playing. And that's what
Exactly.
they've done here. They made it so that you can play those other ancestries. They made it so you can play your half ancestries, and they added that to it, and I think it is a fantastic idea. To
Yep.
finish off this section, we also have the fact that they added a few more feats and a few more options to every other standard ancestry, but only
Yep.
ones from the core rulebook, not the ones from the Lost Omens character guide.
Right. I totally agree. And the one item here in the backgrounds that I have to say were slightly overpowering was the rare backgrounds, but they do say they're rare, and they do say you need your GM's approval to
Yeah,
get it. So it wasn't that outlandish.
and there are a bunch of new backgrounds, which is really great. It's good to have new
Yeah.
backgrounds. And again, most of the backgrounds are basically going to be character options. Yes, the rare backgrounds do add some interesting things. And they're different in both good and bad ways, and that you definitely need GM approval to be able to use those kinds of things. Some GMs are just going to say don't use a rare background, or just have a specific character who will have a rare background as long as it's again approved by the GM.
Right. Yeah.
So that is our first section. Our second section is going to be talking about the 4 new character classes: the Investigator, the Swashbuckler, the Witch, and the Oracle.
Yes.
If you want to know more about the information here, we did 4 videos earlier talking about the playtest version of these,
Right.
and we will also have a video talking about the changes from the playtest to the current version, which will be up relatively soon.
Yes, but overall, again, the classes they added very interesting things. Nothing significantly overpowerful for anyone. For example, they allowed the monk to be a Zen archer, which I thought was really cool.
Talking about after the 4 new classes, that's when we get to the additional class buffs they put in for the regular classes,
Right.
which is what you're talking about. What they
Yep.
did for most classes is they put in one more option. Now, the new
Right.
option they put in specifically for monks is Zen Archer.
Yep.
So
And
you skipped a little bit of information there, my friend.
yeah, yeah, you're right. But those extra additions give you even more versatility in picking what you can do within the class. It really changes so that if you have if you have 2 fighters or 3 fighters in a party for some strange reason, chances of them being exactly the same is even further reduced.
I mean, they already almost had no chance of doing that, but they gave basically almost every class they gave an additional first level option of a
Yes.
style of play. Like, for example, for the alchemist, they made it so you can become a poisoner alchemist. For the bard, they made it so you could basically become a skald. They made a fighter
Yep.
bard. Although again, with all of the fighter caster classes, I have a big problem with the fact that they never get master in their weapon. And I
Yep.
don't understand, because it makes it so you can never actually be good at high level with your fight with your weapons, because you're never going to get good enough to actually hit. It
Right.
means that you can be really good until about level 12, at which point you fall behind really quickly. And
Yep.
that's something that I will talk about again with one of our other one of our other things. But in general, a lot of the casters that are meant to be going into fighting builds, they never get good enough with their weapons to make it so it's worthwhile.
Right. And since we were going alchemist, bard, sort of skipped barbarian for a little bit, we should mention that the champions added the evil version of all the champions that were in the players the core role book.
Yeah, they added a lot of options. They added a lot of new feats, a lot of new abilities, and things like that. Um, is everything going to be for everyone? No. Is any of them really overpowering? Also, no. And that's really
Yep.
the best part, again, about that.
Yep.
Now, the most important thing, in my opinion, that was brought to this book: the archetypes.
Yes.
They expanded multi-classing massively because
Yep.
in the core rulebook, the way it was built, you could multi-class. The way you multi-classed was you took the multi-class feats and then you could take more multi-class feats to gain some abilities of other classes. It was okay. It's not overpowering. It's kind of underpowering in a lot of ways, but it makes it so you can do a lot of fun stuff if you do it correctly.
Right.
What they did here was the archetypes are now basically your prestige classes. It
Yep.
works the same way as your multi-classing, but now it's not you're going into a specific other class, you're going into a prestige or an ability type.
Yep. Exactly. And it really has some really good ones that I enjoyed and thought added value to a lot of
Absolutely.
character classes. It had a few ones that were okay, and then it had a few ones that were I can see people wanting to play that, but I myself might not. But
Anything specific you
overall,
liked?
I really liked the assassin add-on, and I really liked the martial artist because it
Of
gave
course you did.
uh, yep. It gave a few other classes another way to combine unarmed combat, but that's just the way I play.
Yeah,
I like
exactly.
to play. Yeah,
There's the Trap Master, which I'm a big fan of. They put in a
yeah.
dragon. They put in the Dragon Disciple,
Dragon
so you can
Disciple.
make
Yep.
yourself into the Dragon Disciple. It sort of works. It's
Right.
not a Dragon Disciple like in Pathfinder 1, but it's the best they can do.
Right.
And they put in a bunch of role playing ones as well, where you can be the linguist, you can be the marshal, where it's leadership based abilities. You can be an herbalist. You can be
Archaeologist.
the lore master.
Yep.
So a lot of really fun options for new abilities that they put in here for new multi-classing. And again, is it necessarily going to make your character more powerful in combat? No, but it's going to make your character more well-rounded, and you should be able to have more fun with it. The
Right.
problem is that it only works if the campaign allows for it.
Right. Now, another one of my favorite, the Scroll Trickster, because I always tried in
Yeah,
previous editions to play a rogue with that could use magic items and use the scroll so he can cast certain spells and this really allows you to do that.
you already could.
Yes,
There's
but
already an entire build around it, but this would make it so it's better.
yes, yes.
So yeah, again, read through the archetypes. There's lots of really good ones. It's a lot of additional things that you can play around with for this edition.
Right.
Next is the new skill feats and general feats. There's some good ones that they've added, but again, nothing overpowering, nothing really overly great. So
Right.
honestly, when I read through it, nothing really stood out to me.
I agree. Overall, they added just more choices and gave you more options, and especially for role playing and being sort of unique in a role playing manner. And I think this is what we see with the Pathfinder Second Edition. They really are pushing items that add to your role playing value significantly more than your combat or how good can you kill something value.
Exactly. Um, Next is we go into spells. Again, there's a bunch of new spells, some that are really good, some that are kind of mediocre. Nothing that says, "Oh my god, this is a must take." There's a lot of ones that are just they're solid, and there's a bunch of spells that are new to this one that were necessary. They put in raise dead and the summon undead and things like that, which were not in there before. They put in exsanguination, or
Right.
they put in not exsanguination, that was already there. Uh, I'm forgetting the name of the spell, but they put in some spells that are standard ones from previous.
Right.
Enervation, that's what I was thinking. Enervation, and enervation is actually very powerful in here. Um, they made a lot of new spells, and obviously most of the new spells that are in here, or about half of the new spells that are in here, are spells because of the fact that 3 of the 4 classes of the new classes are spellcasters. So they had to
Right.
put in the focus spells, especially considering again, the actually all 3 of them are very heavy on focus spells. So
Yep.
because of that, all of them needed to have a long section of it. There's obviously also new focus spells for every other class that has them. Like Bard has practically 2 full pages of new focus spells, which is really great.
Right, and that's in line with all the new options that they gave to the different to all the character classes.
Right. So
Um,
Champion again has their entire evil section of those
right,
abilities to equal out the good ones that they had from the previous book.
right. So yeah, so overall the spells were just right.
Yeah, they're good.
For
There's nothing fantastically overpowered. There's nothing that's like, wow, this was just a complete waste of time. Why did they bother?
right, exactly. And the last section, the items. The items overall were just giving you more choices. They didn't go with anything incredibly overpowering or any artifacts. They added sort of that the useful items for every level, but nothing that's a must have.
Yeah, they added a bunch of useful things. They added more poisons, more snares, more
Yeah,
consumables, stuff that they needed to add into the game that they just didn't have before. They made it so
right,
everything is more well-rounded more than anything else. It's not like they put in anything ridiculously overpowered. I
right.
mean, if you're looking for artifacts or if you're looking for intelligent weapons and things like that, that's what other books are there for. This is more just to round out the main game.
Exactly. So overall, again, just summarizing, the book is great add-on. Everything is right on point, right within the appropriate necessity to increase your role playing, increase the value of the overall game, and increase the value of the book to any campaign.
Exactly. Just like they've done in the previous edition in Pathfinder 1, the Advanced Player's Guide is a must for any player who wants to really round out their character more. They've done a fantastic job with this again. I love pretty much all like I really enjoy this book, and I think my main problem with it is now that I have to go between multiple books more often, and that's not really that big of a bad thing.
Right. It has value. So, uh, remember, please subscribe. Please tell us what you like, what you didn't like about Advanced Player's Guide. If you have any questions, please let us know. And I'm Boris from Boredom Sated.
I'm Jonathan from Fordham Sated. Have a good time. See you guys next time.